So good morning, everyone. This is Patty Thompson. It's so nice to be here with you this morning. I know some of you, in fact, I'm looking at the names. I've got, Courtney and Joe and others that I know quite well from different SUNY campuses. So I am Patty Thompson, the Vice President for Grants and Scholarships at HESC. And we welcome you to this really first of its kind webinar, which is going to be led by Natasha Torres, who is our DREAM Act coordinator. And she's also leading our effort for other special population students. And in particular, today we're talking about incarcerated students. We're very happy to have Natasha with us at HESC. She had joined us last fall and has really made her mark working with students who are eligible under the DREAM Act. And now, because of her great experience working with our vendor and students in schools, we asked her to take on more responsibility, which she readily accepted. So she's going to take you through a really great presentation this morning, which I think everyone on this call is going to find very useful. And I really just wanted to say hello to everyone to see who I knew was on, and also to really introduce Natasha and let you know how important she is to us and what a crucial part of our team she is and has become in such a short period of time. But we look forward to lots of great things in the future. So I will turn it over to Natasha, and I will let you all go and enjoy this very useful webinar. Thank you so much, Natasha, for letting me say hello this morning.
Yes, thanks so much, Patty, for joining us this morning and giving us a great introduction. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining as well and taking time out of your busy schedules. My name is Natasha, as Patty said. I am the DREAM Act coordinator, and now I'm going to be coordinating for this program as well, the TAP for Incarcerated Students program. So I'm really grateful to be here to meet all of you virtually and just let you know that if you have any problems moving forward with this program or just general questions or need program support, I'm here. I'll be monitoring the inbox for TAP for incarcerated students, and I'll also share my direct email as well at the end of this. So if for some reason you're not getting a response through that inbox, you can also message me there as well. So today we're just going to be doing a presentation overview of the TAP for incarcerated students program. We'll see an in-depth review of how to apply for the program, and at the end we'll open it up for questions as well. So if you have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to write them in the chat. I'll probably answer the questions at the end just so I can get through all of the material. But at the end, you can also unmute if you prefer, however you prefer, and we'll go through all of your questions and see how we can make this program more successful for all our students. Okay, so without further ado, we'll get started. Okay, so just the agenda for today, we'll do an overview of the application. We'll talk about creating an account. We'll review how to complete the actual application. Next, we'll go over a crucial part, how to change information on this application for TAP-IS students. And then at the end, we'll do a recap and tips as well. Okay. First, we'll do an application overview. Okay, so here's a little overview. So first things that needs to be done is the student needs to complete the TAP-IS paper application for the desired academic year. So of course, U.S. financial aid officers or educational representatives will go meet with the student who's incarcerated, and they'll fill out the form. They can either fill it out via the paper form, or we have a fillable PDF depending on what is more accessible for the student. At the end, I'll also show you our website so you can see where to find all of this information. So they'll download that, they'll fill it out, and from there, after the student fills out their application, the financial aid officer will need to create a TAP-IS account. So where you're applying for the student on behalf of the student is not the same place as other HESC applications. There's a specific website, and that's going to be nyshesc.applyists.net. So you're going to go there, and you're going to create an account. After the account's created, the FAO will enter the applicant data from the paper application into the online application, and they correspond directly. So it should be an easy transfer of information. So first thing we're going to review is this TAP-IS account. So you need to either register for your account or log into your existing account. So here's what it looks like when you go to that website, the NYS HESC.apply.ISTS.net. It's going to say account login. So the FAO is going to use this account to submit and manage all the TAP Incarcerated applications for all students. So you can either log in with your credentials or you're going to press register down at the bottom. And then that's what the registration page looks like. It's very easy. You just write your email, you create a password, and your date of birth. One key note that we really encourage is we encourage colleges to utilize one shared inbox for the TAP-IS account rather than each financial aid officer or each education representative creating individual accounts. What I mean by that is, let's say I work for John Jay College, for example. We encourage John Jay to use one utilized inbox, one shared inbox, rather than each employee there making separate accounts. This is, of course, up to you and your institution, whatever you think is best. But the reason why we encourage this is because, let's say I am a financial aid official there, and my colleague is also a financial aid official, and we have separate accounts. If a student needs help and they were created under my colleague's account, it's going to be really difficult for me to support that student because all of their data is going to be protected under my colleague's account rather than mine. So if you use one shared account, it's really easy to manage all student accounts and to support them when they're needed. So that's a suggestion that we have, but of course it is your choice as institutions. Okay, so a little more about the account registration, whether you make your own separate accounts or you make one account, this is what you have to do. You have to sign in using your email, your password. The only really key points to keep in mind is you need to enter a date of birth. So if it's a shared account, you're gonna maybe put up a made-up date of birth. Just make sure that you make sure the date of birth you enter is for someone over the age of 18. If I'm putting in date of birth for, like, let's say it's a shared account and they're on January 1st, 2025, the account won't register. It needs to be someone 18 or older. So just keep that in mind, a small detail. Okay, so after you create your account or log in, you're going to come to this landing page. This is the welcome page, the account homepage for a first-time user. It's going to look like this. It's going to say create new application up in the corner. So it's very simple. You start creating your application by clicking that button. If you're a returning user, this is what the screen will look like. You'll see my test application there. So as I said, I'm going to create my account and I'm going to manage all student applications there. So I create one account as a financial aid officer, but I can manage multiple TAP-IS student accounts through this one account. So it's really great. So you see I have two here. I made a test account. I also used another one, Natasha Torres, my name. So you'll see all of the applications you entered living on this homepage, which is really great. It's really accessible. If you need to review the account, if you need to make any modifications to the application, you'll see over here, application ID. You just click on that, and it's really easy from there to make any edits to the account. I also have it covered over here, but you'll see eligibility determination. You'll either see it saying pending review, ineligible, or eligible. So if you started to input the application but did not finish it, it will say pending review. If you completed the application today and they didn't have time to review it yet, the review team, I'm just letting some people in, then we will also say pending review. After it's been reviewed, it will either say eligible or ineligible. So that's great. So it'll be all there for you easily to see. Okay, so that's just a little bit about the account homepage, how to create an account, and the introduction. So now you want to actually complete the application. As I said, the student's going to complete the paper application, then you're going to create your account and you have to transfer that information into the online application. So right now we're going to review the online application and it corresponds directly with the paper application. So this will either be great for you as you're entering the information online and we'll give you some tips, but also if the student has any questions about how to fill out the paper application, these questions correspond directly. So that will help you support the student in completing that application as well. So the only caveat I will say is for Dreamer students. I just want to highlight this before we get too deep into the actual application. So for all students, step 1, fill out the paper application. Step 2, make your account. Step 3, enter the application online. If they're a DREAM Act student, meaning they don't meet the citizenship guidelines or the residency guidelines for the TAP IS program, they may be a dreamer. So dreamers can also do TAP IS. So for example, what that means, let's say the student who is your TAP IS student is also a DACA recipient. They may be eligible through the DREAM Act program. And if they are, the only difference in their application is there's going to be on our website as well. You'll see it. I'll show you at the end as well. It says DREAM Act application for students. So they need to fill out an additional application. They need to fill out the DREAM Act application. So it's the same process. They're going to fill out the paper application. And after they fill out the paper application, just email that completed application to us at tapis@HESC.ny.gov. At the end, I will drop all of these emails in the chat box for you for easy access. So after they complete this application, you'll email to us, we'll approve their dreamer status, and from there it's the same exact process. You're going to just go into the application, create a new application, and enter their actual TAP IS application. So that's the only difference, is one extra step for dreamers. Have them fill out this paper application, email it to us, and then complete the application as any other student would. Okay, so now you're completing the application. You logged into your account, you press create new application. This is the first page it's going to take you, the school verification page. That's what it says at the top. So when you get here, this is what it looks like. This part is pretty straightforward. So you're going to pick the current school year that you're applying for, whether it's 24-25 or 25-26 year. You have a choice. You're going to select the participating college, and then you're going to have to enter the college verification key. Okay. So each college in the TAP IS program has a college verification key. Most of you probably know your college verification key. If for any reason you do not have that, please again email us at this TAP IS inbox, tap-is@hesc.ny.gov, and we'll give you the verification key. If there's any other technical difficulties, for example, let's say that your college isn't on the list of participating colleges, again, just email us and we'll resolve that as quickly as possible. From there, it's pretty easy. You're just going to enter the student first name, last name, and you're just going to enter this student information exactly as it appears on their paper application. After you finish this first school verification page, at the bottom, there's going to be a submit button. You press submit, and just be very cautious of this. Double check everything on this first college verification page, because after you submit this page, you can't go back. So if you enter the student's first name wrong here, you can't easily go back to this page and change it. There is a way to change it. You'll have to email us, again, at that email tap-is, but that's a longer process. So just double check everything before you click submit. This is a page where you cannot go back and edit after it's been submitted. Okay, so after you do hit submit, you're going to be taken to the next page where they're going to ask you about financial aid officer information. So they just want the person who is submitting this application on behalf of the student to enter their first and last name. Now, let's say this is a shared account. Let's say me and two of my colleagues are all using the same account to manage this TAP IS account. That's fine. Just put your name. If I'm putting Natasha Torres as the financial aid officer on this application, and my colleague is putting their name on a different application all through the same account, there's no issue with that. So just enter your first and last name. This is really just for us to, if there's any issues, we can reach out to you and ask you questions. It's really just for us to keep open communications. And if there's any student application issues, we'll be able to resolve it quickly by getting in contact with you. Okay, next it's going to take you to the student information section if you scroll down. Once you finish entering the financial aid officer information. So again, this information is not going to be able to be changed. So this information is already pre-populated from that school verification page I was just telling you about. So that's why I said be careful about what you type in. If you type the name incorrectly there, it's going to be incorrect throughout the application. So just be aware of that. Again, if you need to change it for some reason, email us. And then from there, you'll enter the student's date of birth, month, date, year format. When the student is filling out this application themselves, the paper application, if you're with them, I would just encourage them to double check what they're typing in. A lot of times students type in date, month, year, and that can cause a processing error. So just, encourage students to double check that they're entering the date of birth correctly, month, date, year. If you scroll down after that, you're going to get to the correctional facility information. This corresponds to the paper application, section A. It's application applicant information, and it's question 5 from there. So again, just copy as the student writes. Next is going to be the student ID. So this is going to also be pre-populated from your choices on the school verification page. So if you chose John Jay College there, it's going to be here. Whatever student ID you input, it's going to also populate again here. That's why, again, we encourage you to double check that before you submit it. And if there's any issues, again, just email us. Next is where we're going to get into some more of the questions in the application, which we need to give a little more attention to. Not so straightforward, maybe. So the student citizenship and immigration status questions. So here, students are going to select their citizenship status. It's going to say student, permanent resident, or paroled refugee. If the student is none of the above, then they would not be eligible for the TAP-IS program unless they're approved through the DREAM Act. And again, this is where the DREAM Act comes into play. Here it says, check here, the applicant is approved to apply for a TAP-IS program under the DREAM Act status. So if you had already had the student fill out the DREAM Act questionnaire and emailed it to us and received an approval, then you would just click this box. If you get to this point and realize the student may be a dreamer and they didn't fill out the questionnaire, no problem. Just, I would pause the application, it saves automatically and leave. And have the student fill out the DREAM Act questionnaire. Once it's completed, email it to us, we'll approve it, and then just come back in and you can click the check here if the student was approved. So this is gonna be for DACA recipients, students without legal status, students with a U visa, students with a T visa, and also it's gonna be for students who may have citizenship status, but whose permanent home was outside of New York. So if you have more questions about who's eligible for the DREAM Act, we can review that at the end. But this is going to be another population of students potentially. Okay, so once you get past that first few questions, the student citizenship and immigration status, we're going to go into some residence questions. So it's going to ask you when the student was incarcerated and for the student social security number. So this corresponds to section A of the paper application, which the student needs to fill out, and it's going to be questions 8 and 9. So you'll see all of this information in questions 8 and 9. Here, you need to include the social security number or TIN number. If the student was approved as a dreamer and does not have a social security number, just let us know. It should change. It should not ask you to enter that if the student was approved as a dreamer, but for some reason it's still requiring you to enter social security number. Just email us so we can determine what the issue is and why it's still making you enter the social security number there. Okay, so once you get past that portion of the application, we're going to get into the student dependency status questions. So the first thing it's going to ask is if the student was in foster care, a ward of the court, or an orphan at or after the age of 13. If they are, select yes. This is something else we encourage you to talk to the student about when completing the application. If the student is over 22 years old, they don't need to indicate they're a foster youth anymore because they're considered independent at this point. We no longer take into account their foster youth status. So if they're over the age of 22, they can still choose none of the above. This is only for students who are under 22 years old who need to indicate their foster youth status. Just a little tip. It's not written here in the application page, which we are going to be modifying, hopefully, to give students more clarity about this question. But for all of you to know, they will not be given that foster youth status anymore if they're over the age of 22. The next question is going to be asking if they were in military service. So they can answer those questions, based on their history. And this, again, corresponds to the paper application. So it's going to be questions in section B, questions 1 through 12. It's all going to be in there. The next question in student dependency status is, it's going to ask the students for their dependency status for the 2024 and 2025 year. This is, going to correspond to the academic year. So if it was a past year, the tax years would correspond. But here it's going to ask the students a few questions. So it's going to ask the students if they lived with a parent or step-parent for more than 6 weeks, if the student received $750 or more from a parent or step-parent, or if they were claimed by a dependent. Like none of the above, that's going to indicate that they are an independent student. If they choose one of the other prompts, that's going to indicate that they're a dependent student. So this is the first question that's going to determine student dependency status. This is something we receive a lot of questions about. So if the student clicks none of the above, they're going to be determined independent. If they're under the age of 22, the students need to meet a special condition to qualify them as an independent student. So there's going to be some follow-up questions from there. So here are the follow-up questions to verify independent student status. So the first question is, what was or what will be? Okay, so you chose none of the above. The next question is, do you have children or a dependent? Click yes or no. It's going to ask the applicant's age if you're over or under 22, and it's also going to ask about the student's marital status. Now, one of these could verify the student's independent status and move forward. However, if the student does not meet any of these requirements and they're under 22, there is one more question we will ask them to verify their independent status. The next question is here. It's going to ask students, as you see here, students who are under 22 need to meet special criteria to be considered independent. This is their last chance to prove their independence. So they have to choose one of these prompts. It says, as of this date, which describes you best. So you need to indicate that your parents were totally and permanently disabled, your parents were declared incompetent, your family's dissolved and they won't be responsible for your care, or that you will be receiving public assistance. One of those would qualify the student as independent. As you can see, there's not a none of the above option here. So if the student is under 22 years old and none of these conditions meet, they're just going to be stuck on this page and they will not be able to move forward. The reason being is they cannot be considered independent if none of these conditions are met. So they will need to go back to that initial dependency question and change their response. So that question is here. They'll need to change their response to this to indicate that they are actually not independent. And one of these will have to satisfy their conditions. If the student has any issues and they do not know how to answer these questions because they have a unique situation, please reach out to us and we will figure out which way to have the student answer the questions and how to make sure the student can receive their award. But again, I just want to emphasize that there's no none of the above option here. So if the student has any issues, they should go back at their past questions and see maybe what the error was. Okay, so that was all of our dependency questions. Next, it's going to ask students about their total household income. So there's, a lot of information here. It's going to ask the students to declare their total household income. We're going to ask them to declare their NTI, their New York State taxable income. If the student doesn't have a New York State taxable income, for example, if a student is applying through the DREAM Act program and their permanent home is outside of New York State, maybe their permanent residence is in New Jersey, they would not have a New York taxable income. In those cases, they can submit their federal adjusted gross income. So it just depends. In that case, they would do their AGI, but in most cases, we have students enter their NTI there. If you have any questions about that as well, please feel free to ask at the end of this webinar or to send us questions on a one-on-one basis based on student issues that they're having. Finally, last but not least, supporting documentation. So that means you went through the entire application, everything's finished, you keep scrolling down, this is where you get to supporting documents. One thing that all TAP IS applications required to be uploaded is the paper application. We see this error quite often, so I really want to emphasize this. You completed this online application on behalf of your student. Amazing. You're not done with your portion of this application until you upload the paper application for your student. So the student filled out the paper application, you typed it in for them. You need to either scan it or somehow upload it to the application as well. The application will not be marked complete until that's uploaded. That's one requirement. So based on your answers, there may be other required uploads as well. For example, if the student was in foster care, they may need to submit another document. If they are declaring independent status, sometimes more documentation is required to be uploaded. So just keep an eye out when you're submitting your application. Sometimes we'll get emails asking, why isn't my application being processed? And I'll go in and look at it. And I just see there's some required documentation that hasn't been uploaded. So all of the required documentation will populate here. So right now, the only one you see on the screen, it says required is the TAP IS paper application, but just keep an eye out for other required uploads as well. And again, if you have any questions about what to upload or what that upload means or why you're being required to upload a document, just give us an email and we'll work it out. Additionally, sometimes I understand there are issues uploading documents to the portal. Maybe the software isn't compatible. It's just a technical issue. If you can't get it uploaded and it's just holding up your application, just email it to us. Email us the document and let us know, I'm trying to upload this, it won't work, and we're happy to get it uploaded on your behalf. So don't worry about that. Just email us and we'll take care of that for you. After that, you have to sign and submit. So you just have to affirm that you understand your responsibility as a financial aid officer. You're going to have to put the date and everything, and then you submit it. And that would be the totality of submitting the application for your student. I do want to get to questions. I see one just popped up in the chat. I just want to review one quick more thing before we get to questions and just getting into any questions you may have. So how to change information for TAP IS students. This is going to be an important one. So it's straightforward. Email us, tapis, tap-is at HESC.ny.gov. Something I really want to emphasize that's really important that we see causing errors quite often is when students who are incarcerated transfer to a different college. So the reason why this can be an issue is, let's say in 2023, a student went to college at John Jay. Their social security number and all of their information are tied to that college and tied to that TAP IS account that the FAO made for them at John Jay. Now, if they transferred to Borough of Manhattan Community College, now when they go there, the financial aid officer is creating a new account for them with their same information. Our system's not going to be able to accept both accounts because there's going to be conflicting data. So we really encourage if a student's transferring to your facility, let's say you know a student is coming into your program and you know they already attended another college, you have to, I would really suggest emailing us at tapis. At our email. The reason being is we can help facilitate a smooth transfer. If I see this new college is creating a new account for the student, I can go in ahead of time and proactively make sure that there's no issues in getting the application uploaded. Sometimes we don't figure out for months later that the application is not being processed due to this issue. So yeah, I just really recommend that. It's a great tip for all of you to know if a student's transferring to your college from a different college and they were in the TAP IS program, just send us an email and we'll make sure that there's no issues getting the application processed. Okay, just going to go over a few tips and then we'll open it up for questions. So, to recap and tips. Only applications submitted through the portal will be processed. If the student just fills out their paper one, it's not enough, and make sure that when you are finished applying, you submit it through the application portal, and then again you can go to that homepage and you can see the status of all the applications. It'll either say pending review, eligible, or ineligible. If there's any issues, if it's been pending review for a really long time, email us and we'll identify what the issue is. We want to make sure everything's marked eligible. Next, the completed and signed paper application must be uploaded and submitted as well. Another great tip, make sure that when you're finished typing in the application for your student online, you upload the paper application or we won't be able to process it. This is another one. So notifications will go to the mailbox or user email used to log into the ISTS portal. This is really important. So whatever email you use to create this account is going to be the email where all notifications are sent to. So let's say we didn't use a shared account. It was just my personal account at the college. If I am using that, all email notifications such as award approvals, if we're reaching out to you about an award issue, will all go to that email. This is another reason why we encourage using a shared inbox so that all FAOs at that college can see any issues or any award approvals for that student. That's really important to note. Additionally, for eligible students, all other processes are the same as non-incarcerated students. Okay. So yep, we're going to send all of the awards on roster as other students. It's going to be a very similar process. There should be no confusion there. We're going to send the award to you on roster, and everything else is the same. If you notice that the student is in loan default status, we encourage you to not submit their TAP IS application or to just email us and let us know that you have a concern about it. You can just email us and let us know, you know what, the student's in loan default status. should we submit their application or should we not? And we can talk about that. They cannot be in loan default status for TAP incarcerated students because again, their program requirements are the same for TAP IS and just regular TAP. So that's something else to keep in mind. We see that quite often with this population as well. A lot of times they did go to college in the past and they are in loan default status. So just keep that in mind, that all of the requirements are the same for TAP and TAP IS. Additionally, again, if your school's not on our list or you cannot find your TAP verification key, just send us an email. Okay, so that's it. Thank you, everyone. We'll open it up for questions now. Again, just email me. I dropped my email in the chat as well as our regular TAP IS email. Thank you so much all for joining today and taking the time out to learn more about how to support students. I look forward to working with all of you. And again, let me know any ways in which we can improve the application process. Okay, thanks everyone.